Hi everybody, it's Claire from Yoga Tums. I thought I would pop on and do a video today since I've not done one for a little while. I thought today I would talk to you all about the oxytocin factor. So you may or may not have heard of oxytocin. I'm hoping that you have. Oxytocin is probably, I would say, one of the most important hormones in the female body. It's, by its very nature, is the complete mirror opposite of the hormone adrenaline. Now, I'm assuming most of you have heard of adrenaline. Adrenaline is that fight or flight hormone. So it'll gear the body up to either run away or to fight whatever is going on. So this oxytocin hormone cannot be present at the same time. It's either oxytocin up, adrenaline zero, or the opposite way round. So we've got adrenaline at its height, oxytocin disappeared. Okay, so as you can see, it's actually quite a pivotal thing. So if you're really scared, that adrenaline starts to rise, the oxytocin's gone, so labour can stop. So let's first of all talk about what it actually does. Oxytocin is a hormone that is responsible and is present in a lot of very important moments in our life as a female, okay? So oxytocin is there when it's involved in lovemaking, it's involved in fertility, it's involved in the contractions during labour, and also it's responsible for releasing and letting down of the milk production for breastfeeding. So as you can see, it's actually got quite a good few roles in the female body. So it's a feel-good hormone. It is present when you're with your baby. You know, that feeling that you get when you're holding them and when they're feeding, that feeling there is oxytocin. So to go a little bit more scientific, receptor cells that allow your body to respond to oxytocin increase gradually in pregnancy. It's quite a very gradual process as pregnancy sort of trots along, increasing more and more and more. And then it really increases when it comes to labour, because this is the hormone that then starts and triggers labour. So it stimulates the powerful contractions that are needed to help thin and dilate the cervix. This then in turn pushes baby down and out of the birth canal, and also push out the placenta and limit the bleeding at the site of the placenta. So this is the reason why you are offered an injection if that third stage of labour isn't happening quickly, which is the placenta leaving the body. So if this isn't happening, they will offer you oxytocin, and this big rush of oxytocin comes into you. It's actually synthetic oxytocin, but it will then increase these contractions to then push out the placenta. So to explain it a bit better, during labour and birth, you'll feel the pressure of the baby against your cervix, okay, and then against the tissues in the pelvic floor. This is what stimulates the oxytocin and the contractions. So it's the pressure of the baby against the cervix, and it just then stimulates all these contractions, and then it also stimulates those hormones for breastfeeding a newborn. Low levels of oxytocin during labour and birth can actually cause problems, as you can well imagine. They actually stop or slow down your contractions, making labour last so much longer. It can result in excessive bleeding in the placenta site after birth. And leading healthcare professionals will respond to these problems with intervention. So this is when, they will intervene with perhaps increasing the amount of oxytocin coming into the body. So that syntonic drip will then into your body to help you out, basically. There's a lot of things that can actually be held responsible for the oxytocin drop. So as I imagine as I explained earlier, that pivotal sort of change where you've got oxytocin really high and no adrenaline, when that goes the other way and we've got really high levels of adrenaline, obviously this is what stops the oxytocin. So if you imagine that if you've been birthing at home quite well, got all those lovely familiar things around you, you've got all those lovely smells, everything around you is cozy, and then you decide at that point, whatever it is, whenever you feel you have to go, you go to the hospital, and you're met with the noise of the hospital, the smell of the hospital, the bright lights, everything changes, and this can then be a trigger for the adrenaline then to start to come in, because you're feeling a little bit fearful. We're in hospital. This is it. This is what, things are going to start happening. What's going to happen to me? How is this going to work? That anxiety triggers the adrenaline, and then the oxytocin starts to dissipate, starts to disappear. So we've got to be more mindful about the production of oxytocin and its important role that it plays. So first and foremost, we need to stay as calm as we possibly can. This is where those breathing techniques really do come into their own. We need to be comfortable, we need to be confident. So hypnobirthing techniques are absolutely amazing for this. The breathing techniques that I've taught you in class, in our pregnancy yoga classes, use them, okay? Avoiding disturbances, like I mentioned before, in terms of going to the hospital, and there's all sorts of stuff going on, and noise and uncomfortable procedures and stuff going on. Limit those. This is where your birth plan comes into effect. I don't want to be disturbed. I want as little intervention as possible, making those choices really clear. Your birthing partner knowing what those choices and preferences are, so you can keep unwelcome visitors, disturbances to an absolute minimum. Staying upright as much as you possibly can, okay? So the gravity, so that your baby's pressing against the cervix, gravity will be working at its best when you are upright, okay? It makes obvious sense. So the baby pressing against the cervix is going to keep that production of oxytocin up, okay? So we need to make sure that we are in positions where we're keeping the pelvis open and keeping as upright as possible to keep that pressure on the tissues of the pelvic floor, to keep that oxytocin coming, okay? Stimulating your body sexually before birth, okay, yeah, a little bit embarrassing, but, anything that you can do that promotes that closeness with your with the dad of baby, keeping them close, kissing, touching, nipple stimulation. Yeah, I know it's a little bit cringe, but it works, okay? It helps the production of oxytocin, keeps everything going. Avoiding an epidural, okay? I know not in all cases it's possible. If you've been put down for an induction and there's that really steep incline of contractions, epidurals can actually be an absolute godsend. However, epidurals basically reduce the natural production, which is why the Syntocin will take over from that, okay? However, just doing your level best to keep as calm and as collected as you possibly can, and be positive. Those positive thoughts and feelings will help promote oxytocin production. When you're still at home, before you transfer into hospital, if hospital is your choice of place of birth, I would say, and this is a really good little tip actually, have a playlist that's connected to a time that produces oxytocin. Okay, so for instance, your wedding song. What song did you dance to when you got married? Okay, if that's applicable to you. What songs mean something to you and your birthing partner, if obviously I'm assuming it's the dad? Having a little dance to those while you're having those contractions, leaning on your partner, having a little dance and just feeling that closeness, that in itself is going to work wonders for oxytocin. So if there's any questions, please feel free to comment or ask me in class. I'm going to sign off for now, and I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon. All right, bye-bye, lovelies. Bye.